So I'm a sexual abuse survivor. The dynamics were such that it wasn't done by a family friend or a stranger. It was one of my dad's siblings. And to complicate matters even further, that sibling was married to one of my mum's siblings. So essentially, two sisters married two brothers. So you can imagine the dynamics and how close to home that actually was. And to top it all off, I'm Indian. And with being Indian comes a lot of cultural stigma and a lot of barriers. So I did disclose it when I was 13 years old. And as much as my mom tried to get me all the help from the, doctors and the social workers got involved and police, as you would imagine, being Indian meant that this picture perfect image, this need for it came before all of that. And I was very much, not by my immediate family, but by the extended family, very much silenced. It was very much the fact that I should literally leave it, it's done now, leave it in the past and move on. I shouldn't expose it, because if I expose it, not only am I bringing light or airing the dirty laundry, then should I say, but I'm also tainting this image, this picture perfect image of both the person that abused me and the person that was married to him back then and still with him now. I remember when I came out with it when I was 13, I was told, you should have come out with it sooner. You should have come out with it before they got married. I remember people saying to me that maybe it was a phase he was going through. You really need to leave it in the past now and need to move on. Firstly, there is no right time to come out with something like that. No one can tell you when you should and shouldn't come out with the fact that you've been abused. There is no right time. You come out with that and disclose it whenever you're ready to. Secondly, there's no such phase. I don't care, because he was 21 years old when he sexually abused me, but I don't care if you're 21 or 41. There's no such phase that I know of a normal, sane person that puts them in a place where they want to have sexual activity with a child. It's almost sort of making excuses for his behaviour. And that's a very Indian thing to do, try to justify why he's done what he's done when there is no justification for a crime, a heinous crime like that. No justification whatsoever. Indian people are very good at, and I'm talking about Indian people specifically because I am Indian, but we're very good at not holding a perpetrator when it comes to big crimes like sexual abuse, which is very prevalent within our community. We are very good at not holding them accountable for their actions. Instead, what we do is we victimize the victim. We try to find excuses for his behavior. And normally, the family, even though they know what he's done, what this man's done, because it's not just a slap on the wrist, it's, sexually molesting a child is a big deal, but they still interact with him. They still communicate with him. And that was very much the case in my family, My dad's side of the family cut us off, as in my mum and my sisters and me. And my mum's side of the family, he started to come to all the events and stuff at my mum's side of the family. So it wasn't a case of even leaving it in the past and sort of giving me time to heal. It was very much in my face. And although people knew it happened, it was almost really not really talked about, to be honest with you. And it wasn't until I came out of rehab, because I did go down the path of addiction, that I decided that actually I wasn't going to be silenced anymore. I wasn't going to be victimized. I did nothing wrong. And I want to say to all the sexual abuse survivors out there, you did nothing wrong. It wasn't you. It wasn't the way you were dressed. It wasn't the way you talked. It wasn't the fact that you had a close bond with this person. People who sexually molest children are that way inclined. They're not right in the head. There's something wrong with them, and they should be held accountable for their actions. You should never, ever, ever feel ashamed of the fact that you were sexually abused. The person who did this should be ashamed, and every single person who enables this person, every single person who acts like this person didn't do what they did, should also feel ashamed, because then they're standing with a paedophile, in my opinion. But you should never feel ashamed. And, to disclose it, to talk about it, to to, get authorities involved. Like I said, there's no right time, but it shouldn't be a story you're ashamed of, or something you should be ashamed of, or something that you should feel dirty about, because it isn't a dirty thing. You were vulnerable. You were a child. When I disclosed it when I was 13, I didn't realize how young I was. And it wasn't until I had my own daughter and I saw her at 5 that I realized how vulnerable I was. So yeah, that is my message. Never ever feel ashamed of your story. Never ever feel that you need to be silenced. Never ever feel that by telling your story you're going to bring shame, because it's an extremely courageous thing to say and do, to say, I've been abused. And almost within the Indian society, I find it was a case of, like I said previously, leave it in the past and move on. Well, you can't move on from something that you haven't been able to heal from. In order to successfully move on, you need to be able to heal from it. And to heal from it, you need to accept the fact, process it, and you need that support around you. And this is a big, big issue that I find within the Asian community, not just with sexual abuse. I have had addiction issues as well. And I've had the same problems with that, because we class these subjects as taboo, which they shouldn't. They're not taboo subjects at all. They happen. They're very prevalent within our community, within society, regardless of what race you're from. But like I said, I taught mainly for the Indian community because I feel that Indians are very good at victimizing the victim instead of holding the person that committed these crimes accountable for their actions.